We're back at it again. This is where I'm going to be putting supports for the extended sides of the table saw. This will also allow me to still use my rack and pinion fence so that it does not get stuck anywhere. This is a super easy add-on. It doesn't even have to be a perfect fit. It just looks better when it's a better fit. These are going to help stabilize the extensions on the side. I only did 1 inch to save some space in my shop instead of the 3 inches that Paul from VanIsle Studios did on his. I'm banging on it because it wasn't as exact level as I wanted it to be, and it moved just enough where it ended up working. Here I'm cutting the piece that will end up being the 2 side extensions. Now I'm going to cut this off in the middle. If you're going to do this, always be careful, because when that wood drops, it could have bound up in my saw. So always be careful, always wear your safety gear. Let's see if it fits. Look at that. That is a good fit. Here I am just making sure that the top is exactly where I want it to be, using a piece of inch MDF so that I can make 1 inch all the way around the top. Now I am leveling the saw, because that table that I had built before has 4 spots that I can use to level this out. And once it's completely level, I don't have to worry about it getting hung up, and I can slide bigger items across this than I could before. This table makes this little job site saw into effectively a rolling cabinet saw. I'm super excited to work on bigger items and get this going. These are going to be part of the shelf that's going to fit the miter saw. Here I am cutting the hole out for where the table will actually spin to allow the miter saw to go upside down. Test fitting the pipe to make sure it fits properly, and I can then cut it to size. To make sure that I got the perfect center of each hole, I put the Forstner bit back into the hole and used its point as a reference mark so that I could measure for where I wanted to put the lag screw that would end up being part of the brace to hold the table level. Taking the arms off so that it'll actually fit, and I can mock up where I am going to put the leveling screws. Now that I have the miter saw exactly where I want it to be and I have full swing, I'm using a washer to make holes for the threaded rod and the leveling system. I have to only cut through the top layer. I do not want to cut through the bottom layer of this because that will end up being the top to the bench, and I don't want any random holes or bolts sticking out of the top. I'm going to be putting in a very small hole so that I can tell where to use the Forstner bit on the other side to fit the bolt. Mixing up some JB Weld quick set, because once I put this on the end of the threaded rod and on the bolt, I do not want it to move ever again, and that will create a way to tighten and loosen it without having to constantly take the shelf apart. Putting the JB Weld on doesn't mean that it quick cures, so I'm going to be tightening these down on the board so that it sets the JB Weld exactly where I want it to be set, and then allows it to cure tightened and give me a good base to work off of. I'm going to test fit the actual top panel that the saw itself is going to sit on, and it looks like it fit pretty good. It's time to glue up and attach the two layers together. I'm going to also be putting in some wood glue where the threaded rod goes with the JB welded bolt, so that it has something to stick to and something that will allow it to not spin in the hole. I'm going to attach the upright sides again, using them and the screws as clamping force to help the glue to adhere a little bit better. I will also be putting a couple pieces of wood and two clamps in the middle so that the middle also is clamped better together. Conveniently hiding behind this panel, I'm just putting on the other washers and bolts. Here I'm going to be marking lines so that I can cut this board down to fit. Do not do any of this without your safety gear. I have not exactly been the safest person on this build because I've been trying to rush through it and get these videos out. Please always wear your safety gear. No matter what you do, always wear it. Use dust collection, all of it. I could have gotten severely injured. I could have in this. If you're going to do any type of woodworking or working with machinery, tools, equipment, whatever the case may be, use your safety gear. I cannot stress that enough. I was lazy. I shouldn't have been. I'm a bad example for that. But if you guys want to roast me a little on that in the comments, go ahead. I will do better next time. Unlike the shelf for the table saw, on this one I'm actually using lock washers and flat washers so that it doesn't move at all, because this will be rotating upside down and I don't want it to shift every time that I use the saw. So here's first mock-up of all the pieces together minus the saw. It was a little fiddly trying to get it in there, but once I did, things started fitting pretty nice. Here I am cutting the pipe down to the exact dimension I need it. I could have done this in the beginning, but chose to not cut them at perfect length, but it was easier this time since I knew what I was looking for. On the flanges of the pipe, I need to cut the hole a little bit oversized, and this will give me some adjustability in how I level out this table part. To stop it from spinning when I'm not using it, I'm using 4 bolt latches. Paul, I believe, only used 2. I did not trust my own construction, so I decided to use 4 just in case. 2 on each side, 2 that are for when it is in this position, and 2 for when it's in the tabletop position. Adding a cross piece so that it matches the rest of it when it's in bench form. Here I'm going to be routering the edge so that it has a decent edge to it and looks somewhat finished. And here we go. You finally get to see the complete miter saw section of this bench and how it spins. Still didn't have practiced the locking mechanism perfectly, but I can see that once I get it down, it's going to be very easy to use this miter saw. This was an ingenious system, and I'm so glad that I found the blueprints and the video from Paul at VanIsle Studios. Man, I know I say thank you to him a lot, but this was an amazing build. I really enjoyed making this, and it cleared up a section of my shop that I would have lost had I built a separate miter bench. I still need to cut down the threaded rod so that I can get full swing, but I get basically 90% of my swing on this, so I'm not too terribly worried about it. But if I need a steeper cut, then I can cut the threaded rod for more maneuverability. And here is the reveal. Don't mind the dirty shop. I'm going to be spending a couple of nights cleaning it up, but this was an awesome build. I had a ton of fun, not only building it, but also figuring out how to alter it to fit my particular needs. But the blueprints made it super simple. As you can see, my fence can float over the extensions on either side. And now it's time to create some awesome stuff with this in the future. I am going to be doing some add-ons that Paul doesn't have. I will make videos on that when they come up. Thanks guys for watching this series. Thank you for watching this video. I hope to see you back, and I will start up Life Story Monday soon.